Four. 54 out of 54 adventurers wanted. Yay! So professional. My name is Chris. I will be your DM for the next hour and the 2 hours after that because we play until 2:30. So, what are we doing? We are playing Dungeons and Dragons. How exciting! This is going to be a fun 54th hour for me, if no one else. That also means we're 54 hours into the story. So, we are 54 hours up to what's been happening, and there are another 46 hours left to go of the story, including this one. So, you are coming in halfway through. So, I will try and explain what is happening as best possible, but if at any point during the show you feel a bit like you don't know what's going on or you'd like to ask questions, we have a relaxed attitude to sound and movement in the audience, so please respond, say things, give me a panto response. Let's try one now. How about an ooh? It's behind me! It's behind me! The curtain, I presume, is behind me. Lovely. Good. Excellent.
It'll soon be me with the rogue.
It'll soon be you, the rogue. Yeah, that's where it can happen too. So this is for the benefit of anyone who would have difficulty being still and silent for an hour, that we have this attitude to performance. The lighting will stay exactly the same, and there will be no sudden loud noises apart from me shouting because I have a loud voice. There will be some background music too, played by our wonderful stage manager, Nemo, who is over there. If you need anything during the show, give them a wave, and they will be able to assist you at any point during the show. If you'd like to pop out instead, you can go through either of the doors that you came in, and there is a foyer space, and sweet staff who wear the black and red sweet t-shirts will be there if you need assistance from them. You will need one of them to let you back in, because it is a key fob system on the door, because this is technically a conference centre. There we go. So, we are playing Dungeons & Dragons. What does that mean? The four players to my left and right play characters in a shared universe, and I play the shared universe. So everything they encounter, everything they have to deal with, all of the problems I make them face, that's me. I'm dealing with all of it. To make sure I don't abuse that awesome amount of power, we will be using their character sheets where they have special abilities and probably some math stuff, which we'll try and skip over as fast as we can. Ooh, very nice, thank you, Lise. And to make sure there's an element of randomness in play, we also use dice. This is a d20. We'll be using it most often.
Correct.
Because it is a 20-sided dice, a 1 is good, a 20 is bad. Feel free to boo and or cheer.
Other way around.
I've done it again. I keep doing this. A 1's bad. 1 is not good. 20 is good. However, depending on how you feel about the person, you can choose to boo or cheer, depending on what result comes up on the dice. That joke doesn't work anymore. Good. Lovely. So without further ado, I'm going to stop talking and pass to my players, starting on my right. Can you please give me your name, your character's name, the pronouns that you and they use, as well as a bit about them and what they've been doing for the past hour?
Absolutely. So my name is Professor Digby Drawsell. I am a Tabaxi druid. A Tabaxi is a cat person. A druid is someone who gets their magic from nature. Before all of this, he was a teacher at a university, but now he has joined the rebellion and he's currently on a mission to try and find the elven rangers that protect our city.
Yep.
I am Galadriel Moonbeam, which is no way stereotypical at all. And I am
No, Galadriel, you are from a long line of Galadriel moonbeams that appear to have appeared in loads of fantasy franchises. It's fine.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I am a female rogue elf, and she or her is the pronouns.
Thank you.
And I have no real backstory because I haven't created one yet.
Fine by me. We'll make it work.
Oh, also he, him pronouns. Sorry, I forgot to say that.
No worries, mate. Thank you.
I'm G. I use he, him pronouns. I play an Aarakocra called Harvey. Aarakocra is a bird person.
It appears someone's very pleased about an Aarakocra being in the party. Aarakocra are bird people.
Yeah, bird people. About 5 feet tall, looks quite like a parrot, and has a habit of just diving into dangerous situations.
Mm-hmm.
Are we talking a colourful palette?
Yeah, blue and yellow.
Yeah, blue and yellow.
Cool.
Nice.
He's also, actually, that's also important to mention. Sorry to interrupt you, Clay. He has a handprint burned into his chest.
The last time I played, I was attempting to save a dwarven barbarian who's
something.
Yeah, I saw the thing. Who died, and their spirit was infused into my own body. So I've got this bear paw print thing, and I'm part of a dwarven clan, despite being a bird.
You are part of a dwarven clan of barbarians and have a special ability that may come up this hour. It might not.
It might. It depends how much I get attacked.
It may come up this hour. Sorry, Chloe. Far away.
Sorry, I'm Chloe. I use she, her pronouns, as does my character Flair, who's a fire genasi bard. So kind of magic and music together, and kind of nicely rounding off the primary colours with Harvey. Entirely red skin, flames for hair. She's seemingly very forgetful, even though, you know, she's lived with this her entire life. She still kind of makes decisions like, I'm going to climb a tree, even though I am on fire.
The tree was fine.
I am on fire. I want that on a t-shirt.
I am on fire. Yes.
Like with no exclamation marks, just I am on fire. Pure statement of fact.
And she speaks with fantasy New Zealand accent, as has been well established, and which some other characters seem to find rather funny.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Some find her accent quite entertaining and amusing.
Can I establish, just because we've got a bit of time and I fancy establishing it, is that a Genasi accent? Is your half genie heritage New Zealand?
That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
The genie heritage. Genie mother
Yep.
was kind of English accent.
Yep.
And human father, New Zealand accent. Her mother was present for like the first couple of years of her life and stuff as she was learning language.
Yep.
But left after that. So that's why occasionally like there's hints of English in the accent.
Oh.
Because most of it's from her father, but there's still that little bit. So that's why whenever she
I mean, I'm now imagining
into
that
English.
I'm now imagining that Flair's father's Taika Waititi, and that makes me very happy. So
I'm more than happy for Flair's father to be Taika Waititi. That's canon.
right, lovely. Good.
Yeah.
Good. Like, not actually Taika Waititi, because he lives in the real world, like an actor.
No.
Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi can get away with that kind of stuff.
Okay, fine.
He's in this world now.
Taika Waititi, if you're following on Twitch, someone tweet Taika Waititi and tell me he's a character in our game. Thank you. Lovely. That won't come up at all.
No, of course not.
So, can I have the ominous music back, please? Thank you very much. Let me catch you up on the story to date. These 4 characters are part of a rebellion. This rebellion has been fighting against a terrible cult, and this cult forced them to work in mines, mining horrible ore from the ground that has explosive and strange magical properties, including, it appears, some kind of time travel. As the cult was pushed back and the rebellion managed to take over the capital city of Goldcrest, it has now gone back the other way, and the cult are now arriving with huge amounts of forces towards their hometown in the mountains, a small town called Holmwood, full of refugees and with a gigantic army of horrible eldritch monsters approaching up through the woods area around Holmwood, about to attack the front of Holmwood's town gate. Which sounds very exciting and is probably something we should be doing, but we're not there. I'm afraid our heroes instead are chasing after the elf ranger Ilassi. The elf ranger Ilassi, who decided to steal the remainder of the town's ore, taking it somewhere to do something. It has not yet been established where she is or what she is doing with the ore, but all we know is that she has more of it than was set off that caused the atomic-sized explosion that vaporized one of our player characters not too long ago. So, certain amount of pressure. The pressure? Can we feel the pressure?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah?
A little bit.
A little bit under pressure?
Yeah, a little bit.
Cool. So at the end of the last hour, you had 2 other people with you, Onyx, the Dwarven Barbarian, and Kidmat, the Furbolg Paladin, who, after this gigantic army have passed underneath you, you were hiding in trees, and are making their way towards Holmwood, decided to circle back to warn the town of the size of the army, and in their place have sent an elf ranger who did not side with Ilassi, thank goodness for that, who has been sent to help guide with your other elf ranger companion Deriland, who is with them, guide these people to wherever Ilassi is and sort out whatever she is doing. Harvey, as a creature that flies,
Yes.
I will presume that you have been keeping an eye on this army approaching,
Yes.
and seeing the army approaching and seeing an elf ranger leave, and you knowing the elf rangers are maybe part of this Orgon missing, have maybe followed them to see what's going on?
Yeah, I would say so.
Thank you. Good. All 4 players are now in the same place. Great. So, Galadriel, you approach down the path. You've managed to skirt around the approaching army, And as you walk down the path, you see an elven wizard, Wissatris. You may have seen her around town. A very tall, somewhat elderly-looking elf. We're not, because elves don't really age that much. It's more sort of very tall with slight lines. She is standing in the middle of the path with Flair, who is hard to miss because her head is on fire.
Wait, are we not still invisible?
No, the invisibility only lasts about an hour, and by this point
okay.
you are waiting. As you approach, you also see a tabaxi leap out of the trees in flying squirrel form or out of flying squirrel form.
I mean, because I have an ego. I'd leap out in squirrel form and then revert to the backseat 3-point landing.
Nice! What does your tabaxi look like? We never established this.
So my tabaxi is, imagine more like an ocelot. A humanoid, quite
so
deep yellow.
Black and yellow spot.
Yeah. Not particularly well kept in terms of the fur, but the clothes are immaculate.
As Digby goes by the Professor, does he have any sort of professorial garb?
Oh yeah. The tweed jacket has elbow patches.
Excellent. I mean, as a fantasy universe, there is no need for tweed or elbow patches, but you have them.
Oh, absolutely.
Splendid.
And then occasionally he'll take off his glasses, put on a monocle, and then put the glasses back on.
Okay. As the three of you are joined by Deriland, the elf ranger who is helping you track in the middle of the path, you see approaching down the path from the north Galadriel, another elf and scout who is following, presumably to try and help, and flying above the unmistakable blue and yellow form of Harvey.
Quite stealthily, I might add.
But how as in, like...
You've seen them, not that stealthily.
Okay, good. Just checking.
Middle of the path.
Damn, that passive though.
And you've also, as these two approach from the north, Deriland is turning and saying, I'm afraid most of the tracks have now been obscured by the Shoggoth. Shoggoth is a very large, almost bulldozering mound of flesh that appears to have left a sort of sizable dent in the road. And some along the tree line on either side of the road as well. It's not quite as if they can now follow footprints of these elves and know where they've gone.
But there must be, like, some idea as to where they were going.
I mean, I assumed they were going to go and try and mine the road or hurt the army, but they don't appear to have done.
So I've not landed yet. I'm trying to see what I can see from up above.
Okay. From up above, as you look out, you can see that the truck reversing.
Yeah.
From above, you can see the landscape ahead of you, that below the tree line, the fields have been largely ravaged by the invading army, and Goldcrest looks like it is in a severe state of disrepair. However, as you fly up, you can also make a perception check to see what you can see.
22.
22. What you can see as you fly up is way ahead of you, 3-4 miles ahead of you, in the middle of the path, there is a cart. And that cart, with loads of boxes on it, is being dragged by a bunch of what looks like elves at this distance. But you can't see all too clearly because it's a long way away, or they're very small.
I mean, it all looks small from up here. What?
I'll remind you of that later.
So if they're 3-4 miles ahead, how far are they from them then to Goldcrest?
They look like they're going to get to Goldcrest in the next 10-15 minutes, probably.
Right.
What you can also see as you look at Goldcrest in the distance is there are huge numbers of the cult and huge numbers of people still in Goldcrest. The army that's been sent up doesn't appear to be the entire force. If anything, it appears to be about a third of it. It looks like they are very much prepared for... Well, the first wave didn't get them. Second wave. Third wave. They will crush you simply under the weight of their numbers because there are more of them than you. He says, eating a piece of chocolate.
Cool. I land with everyone and relay all of that information.
Well, for Goldcrest.
I know there's been a lot of discussions about the ore and using it, but if they're so much bigger than us, isn't that the only thing that we have that's even anywhere near what we'd need?
I don't see.
want to hit them, and I want to hit them hard, but they're people in that city. Innocent people.
The use of a powerful weapon, even against a powerful foe, does not always bring all the benefit one would hope of.
Well, what else do we have then?
Yeah, which is a bit weird.
What else do we have then?
I don't know.
We have allies, we have our faith in ourselves and each other, and we are on the side of right, which is always a good sign.
Haven't we been on the side of right for about 5 years now?
That is also true. I'm sorry, I tend to take a different view. In the long run, we will probably prevail. I have it on relatively good authority.
Progress isn't always constant. It's spiky.
Yeah, this is all fascinating. Should we probably be going?
Yeah. How can we be... We don't have all the horses.
Well-
I can't. If we want horses, I need to rest.
How close were they to the city gate?
Not far, they'll be in the city in 15 minutes at the most.
Misatris thinks and goes, there is no way we can reach them before they enter the city. If we wanted to pause, but we do not know what they are doing. Fascinating. It is a time struggle. If we go by foot, we will probably not get to the city for another hour or so. If we wait, and then go on horseback, it will probably be even longer. But we will all be exhausted as well, presumably.
What do we know? This might be a terrible idea, but what do we know of the time properties of this one?
From what I have gathered so far, and from what my husband gathered while speaking to the spirits of the forest, it is the building block of everything. It appears to deliver mass, energy, and time. These three concepts appear to be related somehow. Fascinating.
Wait, there was a thing recently with that orc person, Thetchi,
Yes.
and they got aged somehow.
That was through a spell my husband cast to move them into the realm of the forest spirit.
Oh, okay. And
The
so
ore is not related directly, but I do believe it has properties that work similarly. I have not seen it in action, I could not tell you. By all means, I do not think it should be used to do anything. I think it should be kept in the forest and purified, as we have discovered it can be done.
Is there anything in the city worth saving? Is there anything we should perhaps...
One must presume that they have slaves. One must presume that the cult has done what it always does and enslaved those around it, or... I would certainly not caution an explosion of the size of all of that ore. My daughter has been headstrong. Should we continue forward? This is a discussion we can have while walking.
Yes.
okay.
You have the ability to fly. Maybe you can fly above us and keep an eye in case of any enemies.
Understood. I just take off.
Excellent. I'm sorry, I'm not in charge. The 6 of you are approaching the edge of the forest. You're making your way through the grassland, and soon you will reach Goldcrest. As you are approaching, and Harvey, you see this best of all, but you can relay it very quickly to everybody, it is evident very quickly that there are 6 of you and a hell of a lot more cultists. If there are any slaves that they have, they are not visible. They're not obviously visible in any way. Chances are you will need to sneak in and find a lassie who presumably has also snuck in. But any sense of being discovered will probably lead to a very swift death.
I can disguise myself.
I can make myself invisible. I could probably do so to a couple of people as well.
I can make us quiet.
Well then.
Cast past factories.
Very good. The 6 of you are now approaching the gates of Goldcrest, and as you approach the gates, you can see where the Rangers have entered, because it's hard to miss. about 7 arrow-studded bodies that are by a gate that has been left ajar.
Shall I scout a quick look here?
That sounds good.
Can we roll stealth check, please? With Pass That Trace active, please. Actually, no, plus 10. Can you describe how Pass That Trace works when you cast it?
So, dude, come on, man! Like
First roll.
Oh no.
Plus 2.
Oh.
2 plus 9 is 11. Plus 10 is 21. So it's not even a bad roll.
A 2 becomes a 21. Thank you, D&D. Right.
So I take out a small piece of twine and quickly roll it up into a ball and throw it out into the air. At which point this astral black cat appears and just goes around and like creates like a radius around us, and then as it catches the ball of twine, it disappears.
That is very pretty, Reese. I like that very much. I also like that all your spells involve twine. Lovely. So, 21, you said.
Incredible.
Would you like to enter the city?
Yes.
Excellent. Please enter the city. As you step up to the gate, the others remaining stepped back and watching you. You poke your head inside the gate, and inside what you see is there are groups of cultists. There are a lot of dead bodies still. This is the North Gate where a lot of the fighting took place. And a lot of the dead bodies around here are being dragged to one side. You do see that the elves managed, presumably incredibly stealthily, to move the cart through the gate and immediately alongside the wall. So you can see where it's gone. But getting past this area with a lot of cultists, a lot of guards, a lot of these horrible grue monsters, these spiky-legged, black-haired, almost like demonic dogs, is going to be difficult for 6 of you, unless you're all very stealthy.
I will come back and relay that to the party. It's not looking easy here to get in.
Grelin, who is there. Should I cause a distraction, maybe?
What kind of distraction?
I am relatively fast. If I draw their attention and make a run for it, I could probably outstrip them.
If you're willing to do that.
My people got us into this mess. It's only fair we try and get us out of it.
It'll be very dangerous.
He pulls his bow off his back. So am I. You ready to run?
Yep.
Okay.
He steps through the doorway.
Sorry, just before he does,
Yup.
I put a hand on his shoulder and cast guidance. Just as a little bit of extra.
That is very sweet. I will remember it. Yes, no problem. He steps inside the doorway. He is still sneaking. As he steps into the doorway, he crouches low, his arrow readied. But as he steps forward, he accidentally kicks an arm of one of the corpses, which awkwardly flops. And as it does, some of the cultists look up, see him, and start shouting. In response, he fires 2 arrows, takes out 2 of the cultists very quickly, because there's a lot of damage, that's quite quick, and then runs toward a wall and tries to climb it, adding the guidance. Yep. He manages to climb his way up the wall, seemingly infused with the power of... your god's energy is green, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a green energy suffusing his arms as he, hand over hand, pulls himself onto the roof and starts Naruto running Assassin's Creeding his way across the broken rooftops of Goldcrest. There's shouting, people are following his progress. You can easily step inside, and with a single stealth check each, we will see how well you manage to hug the north wall and curve your way around. This is with +10 because Pass That Trace has been cast.
Modified 20.
Modified 20 for Harvey.
Modify 20.
Modified 20 for Flair.
29.
29 for Digby.
Please blow us out of the water.
38 for
Yes!
The scout once again fades from existence. Musadris is not particularly brilliant at stealthing. She only rolled a 15. But it is more than enough, as they are all distracted and following Greeland's progress across the roofs. Would anyone like to see what happens to Greeland?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I take off to kind of keep an eye on.
There's the one NPC I know I feel emotionally attached, so definitely.
I'm going to say it's easier for Harvey to see than anyone else
Sure.
because he can fly above the line of houses, and because he is still cloaked in this black cat twine, it will be much harder to see his normally quite garish form. Harvey, as you fly up to the top of the house and look over the top, you can see that Greeland is running from roof to roof. Spells flash out, but he nimbly avoids them, managing to leap from roof to roof and diving across as he goes. However, now he manages to leap over a broken piece of roofing and manages to swing across a chimney and keeps making his way, firing arrows behind him. You hear screams in the streets as arrows find their mark. However, you quickly lose sight of him as he runs into the middle of Goldcrest. Maybe he will return later. First hero of... So, you are hugging the north wall. You can easily see the cart tracks, but you will need to continue your stealth rolls, which I will allow you to keep, to continue to follow it.
Mm-hmm.
As you walk down the side of Goldcrest, you pass one road. Here's abandoned. The damage to town is significant. It looks like, you can't see because you're in it at the moment, but it looks like the western wall has been entirely obliterated. But the houses themselves seem to have taken quite a bit of damage in the onslaught as well, and there are dead bodies around, although most have been tidied, and when I say tidied, moved to the side of the road to make passage easier. You don't see any slaves or anything similar. You pass the second road, down which, still stealth, they haven't seen you yet, you can see a pack of about 5 to 6 Gru, all feasting on a corpse in the middle of the road. The cart clearly follows the side of the wall. You could easily just ignore this and keep going. What would you like to do?
Mm-hmm.
Can everyone roll perception checks, please?
17.
17.
17.
17.
Modified 20.
Modified 20.
14.
14. All of you hear a faint cry from the body the Gru are currently feasting on.
How many Gru are there?
6.
Seems
A fight will attract attention.
We should keep going.
Push on.
It's 2 votes for push on.
I've seen what they can do and how dangerous they are.
Can I ask for Flair to roll a not to say a persuasion check, I guess.
Okay.
Sure.
RV.
Absolutely. Insight to counter.
Persuasion is 17.
20. No, hang on.
Inside.
20. Modified
Yeah.
20.
She is trying to persuade you to move on. That doesn't mean you aren't persuaded by it, it just means that you know she's trying to be persuasive.
Okay.
Digby.
Yeah, I would move on.
Okay.
Seeing the rest of the party, Digby would move on.
Okay. From behind you down the road, you hear a faint cry cut off in a gurgle as you continue along the side of the road. The third pathway, the cart turns and heads into town. You can easily follow it. As you continue, you realise where the cart is going relatively quickly. As you can see the cart, it is outside a slightly twisted, broken grate in the ground, which some of you will remember is the way into the jail. The jail, as some of you may remember, also contains a passage, which some of you may remember leads under the castle. You're starting to get an idea of what the plan might be.
Yep.
Do you enter the jail?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not again.
You can all easily sneak your way into said jail. Can everyone please, as they make their way down the stairs, make a perception check? 20.
25.
13.
Modified 20.
Modified 20.
25.
Well, it's good fitting that the Elf Ranger notices, because as you sneak your way into this grate, there's a spiral staircase, goes down about 3 or 4 turns, and then from there it opens into the wider jail. As you step down the stairs, you hear, faintly, you swear a footstep or a slight movement on the ground. And you know from that step and movement that it is one of your erstwhile allies preparing themselves.
Prepare for arms. Nope.
Wait. What are we trying to make sure happens?
We are trying to make sure that whatever is the ore is being used for, it is not. Its use is poisonous to the world.
Okay.
I do not wish to murder our own kind. If anyone feels they can speak, they should probably do so now.
Whatever Lassie's plan is, she means well, but it's rash and it's going to end badly.
The most persuasive.
I mean, I can try.
Please.
Okay. Is it just like a kind of walking forwards
You
into
could
this
walk down the
space?
spiral staircase, yes. Or you could start talking, because they don't know that you know they're there.
They will see light, because they'll see the flicker of torchlight.
That's how they knew you were coming, yeah.
Okay.
From their fires on your head.
Yeah. Well, I start walking down, adopting a very standard, like,
Hands raised,
not
yep.
non-threatening position.
As you walk down the final curve of the staircase, there are 2 elves kneeling, one slightly ahead of the other in a classic 1-2 firing stance. One of them, they both have arrows trained directly on you. You note immediately that one is trained on your throat, because you're a bard, and one is trained on your heart. These are very experienced combatants.
Hello. Can I? I'm just trying to speak to a lassie, if I can.
You endanger our entire plan by coming here.
You kind of endanger the entire planet with what you're doing. Look,
We have to stop them, this is right.
okay, and I really get that, because I'm probably the person in our group that most sees actually the value in this plan. But everyone else is making very good points that potentially by using this stuff, the cult know how to harness it, and it seems to be connected to the things that they do and they make and their powers. And by bringing more of that darkness and that horror, that's probably what you might do with an explosion.
Roll persuasion check.
That would be 9. A really good 9. Also a word meaning no.
People who watch Critical Role know that intimately. One looks to the other and says, she's a bard, this is what she does.
Zone of truth me or something. I'm not trying to lie.
I'm not denying that you're speaking the truth, that's evident. The question is whether we care or not. It won't matter soon. Go away.
You answer to a lassie, right? Isn't
Yes.
this her decision whether to talk to me or not?
She gave us strict orders to let no one pass, cult or otherwise.
I just don't. I think you're going to regret it, and I don't mean that in
One
a.
in front pulls the boy's little pull bells about title
I-
at your throat and
I-
says, "Leave now. We don't want to kill you. Take even another step forward, and we'll be forced to open fire."
Okay. What can I see beyond them?
The prison is, as it always is, it is a large room with metal gangplanks and walkways cutting across and through it in a hodgepodge maze, very hard to deduce where things are. There are some metal, locked room areas that stand on each level. There are also stone rooms in the side. You may not remember one of these stone rooms, you are aware, led to an underground crypt which had a load of undead in it, and then at the other side of that crypt was a crypt-like tomb or chapel area underneath the castle, which presumably is where people are headed. As you look into the darkness beyond, you are a genasi, so you'd have dark vision.
Yeah, I have dark vision.
You can only see 60 feet though. Beyond these elves, as far as you can see, it appears to be quiet.
No sign of the ore.
No sign of the ore.
No sign.
Okay.
Your allies are above. What are the three of you doing while this conversation happens? You can hear this conversation happening. It's only like a floor beneath you.
I will probably try and sneak down with a bow as well, I suppose.
My goodness.
Back up my character, back up my party member.
You roll a stealth check to sneak down. I'm afraid we're in a new stealth roll now. You will still maintain the pass without trace.
Keeping concentration.
26 in that case.
I think pass without trace is still concentration, isn't it?
It's an hour concentration.
It's now concentration. 26.
Yeah. If you're maintaining concentration.
You sneak down behind Flare. Because it's a spiral staircase, there is a central column. You are basically managing to align yourself perfectly with the column so you can pop your head out. They haven't seen you. Clock both of them and could potentially hit either of them with an attack. If you so chose to.
Things aren't going so well.
It is entirely up to you, but let's see what the other two do first.
I'm also going to try and stealth down.
Da-
Just because everybody else is.
Well, there's a rogue doing it perfectly. Let's see what the cleric does. Go.
Are you heavy plate cleric as well?
9! Plus the 10?
Yeah.
19.
19. Harvey. You see Galadriel ahead, sneaking down, preparing, knocking shortbow, right?
Yep.
Knocking her shortbow and getting ready with it. You try and step behind, but step directly into her. Push her forward slightly, and both of you sort of appear. Both of the ranger's arrows just knock up, and they're not pointing at Flare right now. Both of them are pointed up at you, and both hold their fire, but they are on knife edge. We will open fire. Leave now. If you do not step back in the next 6 seconds, we will open fire.
I cast
Cast
whole
whole
person.
Yes.
Just because this might happen at the same time because I don't know that they're going to do that.
They have a readied action, so interestingly, the initiative doesn't even apply here, but go on.
Okay. The area that I'm aware of,
Yes.
that is like directly underneath the castle.
Yes.
How far is that? As the crow flies, like direct line.
Direct line, you could... We've established that the jail is about 100 by 100 square foot.
Oh, okay. So it's quite small.
The jail's relatively small. It's because it's on levels. It's a cube.
Okay. Yeah.
So, diagonally... I'm just going to do some maths in my head. You couldn't get to the corridor down which the tomb-lined corridor is along.
Basically, is it within 500 foot?
No, you can't dimension door into it. No, you
Okay.
could dimension door presumably safely to, if you roll and write intelligence check, to the room with the door into the tombs in it.
Okay.
Or you could dimension door. It's within 500 feet. So you could dimension door somewhere you can see. That's always fine.
Okay.
Because everyone's in out of initiative, and because there's a surprise round, because they have held their actions. Ooh, interesting. I think it makes sense to roll initiative anyway and then give everyone one action and then dive in. Does everyone roll an initiative roll, please?
Sweet.
So anyone roll above a 25?
No.
That's just adding your dex modifier, isn't it?
Depending on your class, yes, but presumably.
Yeah. Cool.
Anyone roll above a 25?
No.
Above a 20?
21.
21. Excellent. Anyone roll above a 15?
19.
19. You roll 15 on the nose, so you will go before the scouts, who roll particularly badly. Go on, Harvey.
9.
9. Splendid. Galadriel, you see that they are about to open fire. and they've given you a 6-second warning. You have an in before that happens. What would you like to do? You have no allies within 5 feet, and they can see you.
I will shoot them. I will loose an arrow.
You loose an arrow at one of them.
Yes.
Fine.
Whichever looks to be the leader of the two.
There are 2 of them. You can't tell their gender because elves. So, go for it.
A paltry 12.
12. I'm afraid as you fire the arrow out, one with their bow still held and arrow still knocked, just leans back as the arrow goes shooting past their face, manages to just lean out of the way, and is going to literally just fire back underhand towards you when we get to their round.
Sure.
Flair, what would you like to do as the first arrow is launched and this moment is happening now?
Like the area nearest the bit under the castle that you mentioned?
Yes.
She's going to dimension door there.
Can you roll an intelligence check to remember where you're going, please?
Yeah.
History is fine.
Intelligence, I'm alright.
History is fine if you want to
That's
use
a
it.
15.
15. You remember the permutations of this room and can remember that there was a side room with a strange alcove that led into these tombs. You could easily dimension door there.
Okay, I go for that.
Cool. Cross off the spell slot. You
Yep.
dimension door out of this situation by creating a small magical door behind you that you step through. How do you use magic? How does it
I
create?
can only do that once. It's always somehow related to my kind of Ifriti fire heritage.
Yep.
And so basically with Dimension Door, what happens is a few like embers and sparks fall off my hair.
Yes.
And they just, it's not entirely like Doctor Strange, as in the film one, where it's like
Yeah.
the circle with that, but it's more kind of like little spits around rather than a full neat circle. But that just kind of spreads a little bit, and
So
you just
you-
see little
you-
flickers
so you-
and sparks behind, and then
You don't use a boomerang, but close enough to step through,
Similar.
and you step into a room. As you appear in this room, you are face to face with
death.
5 elves, all looking at you, just surprised at your appearance. Some of them are holding bows, some of them are holding boxes, which they are carrying down a corridor. There are undead bodies littered all around you because they have been fighting their way through these tombs as well. It isn't the easiest approach. That is the end of your turn.
Sure.
You can speak as a free action.
Okay. Well, she just arrives there, sees all of them. Like, I'm not. I won't do anything.
Cool. Digby.
Hello.
Hello. What's the plan?
I cast Hold Person at 3rd level on both of them.
Excellent. Wisdom saving throw?
Yes.
What are you trying to beat?
15.
Plus 1 dice. One of them, the one that hasn't moved yet, the one who wasn't shot at by the arrow, suddenly locks up in place and cannot move, while the other appears unaffected by your spell. Presumably, you've moved down the corridor to see them to cast
Yes.
Hold Person on them.
Yes.
Cool. So all 3 of you are crowded at this point in the stairs because Flair has disappeared. Splendid.
Using my feline agility,
Yes. Sure.
I would like to use more of my movement
Yes.
to try and get behind the one that I held.
You, while casting your spell, leap up and manage to use your claws to dive in and clasp hold of the wall slightly, using it and its momentum to leap off behind as you combat roll behind where the elf archer is, who is not currently locked in position with you. You are within 5 feet behind it.
Okay, cool.
That is your action. And movement. And do you have a bonus action you like to use? Or is feeling agility a bonus action?
No, it's a free
Just a
thing.
free thing.
I can just be like, I want to move an extra 30 feet.
You then can't again until you do nothing on one turn, so you know.
Yeah, I can't move for 1 turn.
That's right, if you want to. It's your choice.
Yeah.
But you do have a bonus action spell if you want to use it. But you know, be a cantrip because you've already cast Hold Person. No, I think you're
I'm
stuck.
okay, you know.
I think
I'm
it's stuck.
good.
Yeah, good. Lovely. At which point the scout, who leaned out of the way of your arrow, fires his arrow back, using a bonus action to make sure he gets a really, really, really good bead on you. That's a 16 to hit.
That will hit. As he does this, though, I'm gonna lean back, and the arrow's gonna just glance me because I'm gonna use my uncanny dodge to half his damage.
Splendid. you only take 5 points of piercing damage as the arrow skitters across your armour, leaving a rather horrible gash up your shoulder, but not embedding itself deep within you.
This guy knows the game.
At which point the second arrow launches out and hits you square in the throat. I rolled a 19. And you take another 9 points of piercing damage as you step back, an arrow poking out of the side of your neck. The other scout tries to stop being paralysed and manages to shake off the effect and is now also not paralysed at the end of its turn, however. Harvey, what would you like to do?
I think I would cast Calm Emotions on both of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a range of 20 feet, so it's centred on the one that's not held.
Cool. That will also affect everyone else in the area.
Yeah.
So that's all of you.
Is it one where you can? Is it 20 feet around you or 20 feet around a point you choose?
Around a point you choose.
So you
So
could
I
put
would
it.
choose something that.
He's behind them.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you could affect the two of them and Digby. That would be quite funny. Do you recall?
Yeah. I'd go for it.
Wisdom saving throw, please, Digby. Digby.
25.
Digby is unaffected while the two guards blink.
That's in character.
I'm not supposed to let you pass.
I walk over to them and just. It's okay. It's okay.
You're with us, you're allies, right?
We're allies.
Oh, right, I'm so sorry. Right, please, down that way, door to your left. You'll be able to find your way down to the others. Whew.
Great.
And on that bombshell, we're going to end this hour of Adventurers Wanted. Thank you ever so much for joining us. So please do spread the word about the show on Twitter, Facebook, Face to Face with Humans. We're on Twitter at Adventurers250, where Nemo has been live tweeting the show for the past hour, and our other stage manager, Nay, have been live tweeting the entire adventure to date, which means you can catch up on the story there or on our Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Adventurers Wanted. Hello, Twitch channel.
Twitch.
Hello.
Hi, Twitch.
If you'd like to see more, you can always buy more tickets and come see more in the room. They're a $5. You can buy them at the Sweet Box office, which is out there, or online at edfringe.com. And for the same price, you could sit at this very table and play this very game.
Not that table.
No, not my table. No one sits at my table apart from me and Leah. It's me and Leah's table. We have special things with this table. But Galadriel could have easily been one of you. It's very easy to join us and play. We are very kind and very delightful if you're umming and ahhing about joining us. We know there's a stereotypical D&D look, and sunglasses indoors kind of covers it, I think, this is for today. That's what we're going to do with that. We are trying to expand the reach of tabletop role-playing games and the introduce it to as many people as possible and its joys. So if you think that's important and you'd like to help us do that, we have a Patreon online where you can donate from just £1 upwards. There's also a donate button on our website, which Twitch viewers, you got to watch the show for free. If you'd be so kind, we'd really appreciate it. We run free play events and accessibility events in London, Edinburgh, and in Brighton sometimes. So if you're in any of those places, do find us and join us. We'd love to have you. Before we go, D&D players, what do they know? Do they know things? Let's find out. Can you four tell me about other stuff at the Fringe you'd like to share, please?
Other stuff at the Fringe I'd like to share. I'm going to recommend, it's on the next 2 Fridays of the Fringe, John Luke Roberts' Terrible Wonderful Adaptations. It's at Pleasance Dome. I think it's around 11:20 each night. Last week they did an adaptation of the iTunes Terms and Conditions, and it was actually phenomenal. So they take very unwieldy things that should never be adapted and make it happen, and it's a lot of fun.
Splendid, thank you. Great.
I'm working on a show at the Traverse, which actually I think is pretty much all sold out. So don't
Thanks,
bother going
G.
to see that.
Really
But,
helpful.
So I guess I'm going to plug. I write and draw things. I have a website. It's macdermog.com. MacDermog. So have a look at that.
G also did some lovely artwork for us, which you can find on our website. Do have a look. He is very good.
Thanks.
I look like a wonderful, orky, horrible thing. It's great. Reece, stop wearing sunglasses indoors, man.
Sorry.
Jesus.
I will I'll plug a show that I'm not part of.
Yay!
But, at Just a Tonic at the Caves, there's a comedy act that I'm glad to say that I'm friends with them. Dirty White Boys, their show is Manners. It is on at some time.
10 past 10.
10
Best
past 10
plug.
in the fancy room.
And I'm not involved with any shows, and I have no friends in shows this year either. For the first time in a few
Do you
years.
have anything you want to plug about your home life or things you do back where you're from?
No, I'm a terrible person and don't do anything interesting.
I can't believe that's true.
Wow.
There must be. Do you have a D&D group that you play with at home you want to give a shout out?
Yeah, I play the Games Hub, doing D&D Adventures League, and
cool.
Awesome.
I run sessions down there, so I got to prepare for that tonight, actually, after this.
Excellent.
Nice.
Very good. The Games Hub is very close to here and a lovely place to play
Yeah.
many, many games, including D&D, so that's good.
Yeah.
Lovely. That's it for this hour. We need to reset because we're doing another 2 hours. If you fancy joining us for those 2 hours, come back. If you don't, goodbye. Have a lovely fringe.